Did I hear someone say collab? See, Flacco and Artificial DM are back at it again with a new collab. What happens when a player has insane memory recollection? Let me describe the situation. Friends, gather round, and I shall tell you the tale of STATBLOCK Man. From whence he came, few now know, but legend has it that he has memorized every stat block in every monster manual ever created. His actions are relatively tame compared to the tales of woe found here, but even so, he finds himself in this den of horror and madness. But first, let us introduce those who stalwartly stood witness to these events. The DM, me, myself, and I, your humble narrator. The fighter, a player who had more patience than they had right to, but was quite vocal of their dislike towards the subject of our story. The barbarian, a quiet fellow who suffered in silence. The artificer, a penchant for forgiveness and tolerance, though they did speak out against STATBLOCK Man. The sorcerer, a friend of the fighter and someone who also actively disliked STATBLOCK Man. STATBLOCK Man, the legend himself, a man of metagaming prowess few have seen, and someone eager to bask in the spotlight for all to witness their greatness. He also played an Aasimar warlock/cleric. Humble beginnings. Many moons ago, I first met STATBLOCK Man while looking for a game in which I could play. At first, all was well. He was a little overeager, but his enthusiasm was infectious. The game that he ran is worthy of a tale in its own right, but after playing with him for a little while, a spot opened up in my game. I, bright-eyed and full of eagerness, invited STATBLOCK Man to join my merry band of players. Splendid, thought I. Surely all will go well, and we will have a great tale for the ages. Alas, how right I was, but for all the wrong reasons. And so, with joy in my heart for not needing to plumb the depths of Reddit or Roll20 for a new player, STATBLOCK Man joined our ranks. The first sliver of worry entered me when I read his backstory. It was adequate for my purposes, but full of a dark, brooding cloud of edginess. It smacked of a tragic hero, but without the trappings of subtlety. In a word, it felt like anime. However, my optimism prevailed, for I had great confidence in STATBLOCK Man at this point. A tad gauche, I murmured, but nothing that cannot be fixed or used for narrative drama, and so my fears were laid to rest for the time being. When the next session rolled around, the party was faced with a revenant, a foul creature having been created from the body of a former enemy. I delighted in the party's reaction. They were surprised and genuinely did not know what the creature was capable of. The artificer, in particular, enjoyed the enemy, as it was he who had killed the revenant when it had been human. He expressed his excitement at the unknown challenge. Then, STATBLOCK Man spoke. "Do I know what this is?" I asked him to roll a religion check, as fate had decreed my doom. He rolled a natural 20. I divulged that STATBLOCK Man knew only whispers and rumors of a thing called a revenant, a creature of malice and revenge. However, having come from the humble origins of a farming town, he knew little else. What proceeded to tumble from his mouth was nothing short of quoting the stat block of the Revenant. He told the party of its regeneration, that fire would stop it, that they needed to kill it lest it paralyzed them, and that it was rolling extra damage due to its ties to them. I paused, took a deep breath, and reminded the man of stats that a natural 20 does not give you perfect knowledge. StatBlock Man quieted down, and the fight continued. The Revenant was slain, and the party rejoiced, though began to worry what had brought such a foe upon them. Alas, this commotion happened in an inn, and the captain of the guard was informed, so their musings were cut short. The captain took the party aside and questioned them. The fighter and sorcerer explained the situation. The barbarian was about to speak when another voice rose above all else. StatBlock Man spoke, again reiterating all the forbidden knowledge his character should not have possessed. This time, the barbarian spoke up. "The DM didn't tell you those things. Stop this." But he would not be stopped. No, for as he spoke over all others, including this humble narrator, he began to describe his entire backstory, his great tale of misery and woe, how he sought to do great things, but only could fail, how he felt he was destined for more, but he couldn't find the path, how he knew only the deaths of those who walked in his wake, and the suffering of former allies. All this and more, after having only known these people for a few days. He then, for reasons beyond the ken of mortal folk, revealed that he was an Aasimar by spreading his radiant wings in the tavern. None spoke. What could be said in the face of such a flagrant display of anime syndrome? The session ended shortly after, and I vowed to speak with StatBlock Man in private to correct what I viewed as over-eagerness. Alas, dear reader, I was not prepared for what awaited me. In part 2, we shall witness more antics and a DM's folly. Calling it now, StatBlock Man is completely overpowered and a new DM's nightmare. A seasoned DM would just start mixing stuff and be aware of the fact that the monster manual is a suggestion rather than the law. To find out what happens next in the adventures of StatBlock Man, be sure to go to Artificial DM and Zflocko's channels. Before you go, what do you all think about this situation?